Let me show you this right here. We're almost done here, but I love how you can smooth it down. It's so smooth, right? And then you can just take it, wrap it into a ball and just take that and just pop it in your mouth and just let it just sit there and oh God. Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Ken and I'm on a journey to lose as much weight as I possibly can so I can become a fat guy no more. Whew, what a week it's been. From the moment I finished that video last week, seems like I've been on the run. Run. It was a lot of fun, but there was a lot going on. So I'm going to jump into that here in a moment. But first, I want to say thank you so much for coming by and checking out this video. If you haven't already subscribed, please do that by clicking that little button down below. Give me a thumbs up, drop a comment in the comments below. Help out that algorithm. I'd appreciate it. So where were we? Well, when we last talked a week ago, not including my video about changing over to compound, did you watch that video? Yeah, I finally made the switch over to compound Tirzepatide, and of course, then all hell breaks loose, right? So now it might not even be available anymore. Who in the holy world knows? 60 days, 90 days, all that fun stuff. Who really knows? So we'll find out, but I did make the switch, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here coming up. So if you remember in last week's video, I mentioned that I got me a ticket to go see the Oklahoma City Blue. Now that is the G League team of the NBA's Oklahoma City Thunder. Basically, it's their minor league team, right? They are the defending G League champions. They beat the Maine Celtics, or whatever in the heck their name is. But it's the Boston Celtics G League team in Maine. They beat them last year 2 out of 3 games in the league championship. So that was exciting. I actually got to go to game number 2 right here in town. That was fun to get to see them win. They lost the first game up in Maine, won the second game here in Oklahoma City, and then went back to Maine and won game 3 to take the G League championship. So that's very exciting to get to see those guys doing good. Of course, there's a few guys that were there on that team last year that are now part of the Thunder, like Ousmane Dieng and Aaron Wiggins. This year, there's a couple guys that play on both the Blue and the Thunder, and that's like Dylan Jones and AJ Mitchell. So it's really exciting to get to see them. However, the game I went to, those 2 guys weren't there because they were out in Vegas getting ready to play in the NBA Cup tournament with the Thunder. So still got to see a great team. And the biggest thing that I did, the thing I was so excited about last week, was I got me a seat on the court. That's right, courtside seats. Granted, again, it's a G League game, but that was still just exciting. I was sitting kind of towards the end of the court there, but my feet were square on the hardwood. That was really cool. I mean, a lot of fun. And the ticket was only $25. Now, that's a little bit more than I usually like to spend for a game, especially a G League game. But for the experience, it was totally worth it to be able to be close enough where you can hear the players talking to themselves, talking trash to the other team, and complaining about the officiating. I mean, it was great. I'm used to sitting way up in the rafters, which I like. I mean, it's got a good view where you can see the entire length of the court, right? But this was a lot of fun, and I would do it again for $25 if it popped up, but I've already looked the rest of the season. So far, nothing's currently available. But it was Taylor Swift night, Era's night. It was Tay-Tay's birthday, so they played a ton of Taylor's music. They did all sorts of different games, like Finish the Lyric, and then a bunch of trivia questions about her and stuff. Man, those people that played those things are a hell of a lot smarter than me when it comes to Taylor Swift. So it was really cool to get to see them win gift prizes and stuff, including somebody sitting just a couple seats from me. Her and her family were there sitting courtside too. And it was really cool to get to see her up on the big screen. And she was asked a few questions about Taylor. She nailed every one of them. She got this really neat backpack that was just stuffed full of stuff, you know, Thunder and Oklahoma City Blue stuff. So it was really kind of cool. It's a lot of fun. I mean, anytime I get to go to a game, I enjoy it. But being down there courtside was spectacular. And then to have Taylor's music being played all night long, some people might call that a living hell. I thought it was quite fun. I mean, we pretty much sang along all night. I mean, the whole crowd, right? Especially our row. We were having fun. I have no idea who those people were. I'll probably never see them again. But damn, we had a lot of fun, and that's really what life is all about. So I got one more Christmas shirt to show. This is actually kind of a fake hockey jersey, right? Anybody recognize who that is? Do you recognize that? That would be Marty Moose. This is my Clark Griswold hockey jersey. You could see the family truckster right here with the with the Christmas tree on it, the 00. I'll show you the picture of the back. It says 00 with Griswold on it. It's not a real hockey jersey. These are just printed on instead of patches put on. But I absolutely love it. Last year when I got it, I wore it twice, honestly. Once to work, and then once on Christmas Day, we went and saw the color purple, and it was really tight. And I'm like, man, I shouldn't be wearing this thing, but I wanted to because I absolutely love it. I think him's cute. And so I really like it, but now it's already getting to the point of just baggy. But that's how a hockey jersey, or what do they call them, hockey sweaters or whatever, right? That's what they're supposed to be like. So this is just hanging on me now. We'll see what it looks like next year. Hopefully I'll remember to do a comparison video next year. So note to 52 weeks from now, Ken, compare this, all right? See how it looks compared to where it is now, because it's already pretty loose. But again, check him out. Isn't he just awesome? I absolutely love Marty Moose. I love, of course, all of the vacation movies, especially Christmas Vacation. I used to do Christmas lights myself at home, you know, computerized, set to music. And every show as it cycled through, the beginning of it would be Clark W. Griswold introducing it. So that was pretty cool. Let me show you this picture right here. This is what our place looked like back in 2008. We had about 50,000 lights set to about 120 computerized channels. I wish I had some video that I could show of it set in motion. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of work. I couldn't do that myself. So I always had what I called my elves. So friends of mine would come over, help hang lights, and then I'd feed them full of hot wings and beer. It's always a good time. We had a lot of fun every year. But I really do miss doing that. Again, it was a ton of work, but part of it was just getting to hang out with everybody. And then of course, once you get them turned on, seeing the joy that it would bring people as they would come through the neighborhood. You know, we were listed in several different Christmas light lists for the years, from local news stations to local newspapers. You name it, we were listed in it, and our show really wasn't that good compared to a lot of people, but it was a labor of love, something fun. I remember one year I wasn't going to do it. Just after my mom had passed, I had decided I wasn't going to do it, and I was out working in the yard, trimming some of the hedges, and somebody pulled by. I was like, stop, backed up. He rolled down the window and he asked me, "Are you already hanging Christmas lights?" And I told him, "No, not yet, just doing some yard work." Then he proceeded to tell me how much him and his family have always loved coming by and looking at the lights. And it was like a dagger, because I had already decided I wasn't going to do them. And then I felt that I had to, so I did, of course. And I was very happy that I did, because whenever you see cars out front, taking their time driving by, listening to the music while your lights are going, because you know you have the radio broadcast, right? So people can hear it right out front of your house. It was always a lot of fun. So speaking of that, I still love going out looking at Christmas lights. That is something that we always do. And we did that just last night. But our first stop was somewhere special. Let me show you that right here. This is in Chickasha, Oklahoma. They call themselves Christmas Town. And do you see what that is off in the distance over there? That is what you would call a major award. Yeah, 50 foot tall. That is the world's largest leg lamp. That's so tall, even the old man would be proud. Yeah, it's spectacular. They put that in down there just a couple years ago. And so we went a couple years ago and saw it. And then we went last night as well. The biggest reason I wanted to go last night is I wanted a different picture. Because if you see this one right here, this is a couple years ago. Now I want to point out something. If you look at me there, you can definitely tell I've lost weight. But the biggest thing is what you don't see there. And what you don't see there is the fact that I am hiding my cane behind my wife. I did not want that seen in the photo. So I hid it right behind her as we were standing there while we were waiting for someone to take our picture. And this year, I didn't need that cane. Of course, I haven't had to need that cane in quite a while now, right? But 2 years ago when we were down there, I could barely hobble from where we parked the car, which wasn't really that far from where we were standing in that photo. This year, we parked in the exact same spot, got out, and we walked around for about an hour or so, checking out the lights, checking out the different shops they have down there, just different things that you can do that are so much fun. Again, Chickasha calls himself Christmas Town, USA. I'm not quite sure for why. If you're from that area, why don't you drop a comment down below and let me know. I guess I could always Google it, right? But I always think more of like Leavenworth, Washington, but I guess that's more Bavaria, you know, kind of a German town, but it always just screams Christmas to me. But either way, it's a pretty cool little town, and they have the world's largest leg lamp there. And at night, when it lights up, it looks absolutely fantastic. So that was our first stop last night. So after we left Chickasha, we went and hit a few other places. And I will actually show you some of those photos and videos later on. So I mentioned last week when I showed you the video for my almost sugar-free peanut butter fudge that I have a classic version, one that I like to call Ken's Famous, right? It is the original recipe that my mother taught to me just over 37 years ago. Matter of fact, she'd been making it for years. I like to say I grew up and out on my mom's peanut butter fudge, among so many other things, right? And so she showed me how to make it back in 1987. We were living in Tumwater, Washington, and she showed me how to make it. And then when it turned out so good, people at our Christmas Eve party are like, "Shirley, this has got to be the best fudge you've ever made." She looked over at me and she told them, "Ken made that this year." And then she proceeded to tell me and everybody else that she'll never make it again. And it almost kind of broke my heart at that moment, because I'm like, well, that's not fair. I mean, why would you act that way? You know, why are you saying if mine's better that you'll never make it again? But what I quickly learned is that she was actually passing that tradition off to me. And so I've made it every year, at least a couple double batches worth of it. And you know, I have a little bit left here because, like I said in my other video, I like to give this away. I like to see the smiles on people's faces when they eat it, and I don't want it in the house. So out of a double batch, this is all that's currently left, other than the piece that we have frozen, and I'll show you that here in a moment. But yeah, it is so good, so tasty, so amazing. If you thought, oh man, oh, that is just fantastic. Last week's was really good, but the texture just wasn't quite there. Somebody did comment down below of that video last week on a way that I might be able to correct that. So I'm hoping to maybe try that this next year. But this original Ken's Famous, the classic version, there's just no better. Absolutely no better than this. So let me show you how I make it. So what we're going to need for this recipe is some butter, some marshmallow cream, some vanilla, some evaporated milk, some sugar, and some peanut butter chips. Now, for everything here, you can pretty much use whatever your favorite is, right? Except for this. You must have the Reese's peanut butter chips. It is inexcusable and irreplaceable. These are a must because their flavor is amazing, and it is what it makes this peanut butter fudge the best. As you can see that bag under there, I actually found some at Winco in the bulk section, so check that out. Maybe save yourself some money while you're making a batch of Ken's Famous peanut butter fudge. Alright, so if you watched last week's fudge recipe, this one will be very, very familiar to you. So the first thing we want to do is get that high-sided pot. I always suggest a high-sided pot. You'll see later exactly why. And then we want to toss in 3 sticks of butter. We're needing 1.5 cups, and that's exactly 3 sticks. This time, unlike last week, I went ahead and had my burner on, so you can see that it's already starting to melt there, which is a good thing. So we're just going to let that melt for a little bit, and then it's time to toss in the sugar. 6 full cups of sugar. Yeah, that's a lot. Again, this is a double batch. So that's a lot of sugar, but that's why we need it, because it is a double batch. So in goes those 6 cups of sugar. I don't measure anything, you know, weight-wise or anything. I just look at it and like, hey, that looks like a cup of sugar. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? So then I pour it in, and we're good to go. Next is the evaporated milk. Now we need 10 ounces for this double batch. Again, I don't measure it out at all. I've been doing this for over 37 years, so I'm pretty much used to just testing it and going by weight. As you can see there, yep, okay, we look good. If you want to measure that out, by all means, go right ahead. And then just get it all stirred in. Since that butter was melting already, it really makes it come together much quicker. Just want to keep stirring it. Don't want this to scorch, especially once we get to the point where it starts to boil. We definitely don't want it to scorch. So now we're to the point where I'm going to need the whisk in here. So what I like to do, as you can see, I take my spatula that I've just been using, I'll clean it off, and I'll open those marshmallow cream containers, and I'll run it around the sides, right? Trying to loosen it up to make it easier when we're in a hurry later. That makes it much easier to get out of there. And then I set it you know, on the counter but close to the burner, so it pulls some of that heat as well, and it helps melt that a little bit. Again, that's just to make it easier to get out of those little containers. They can be a little bit of a pain in the butt when you're trying to get that sticky goodness out of there. Any little thing you can do can help. I don't know, maybe set it in a thing of hot water or something. Whatever you want to do that helps you get it out of there. This is just what I've been doing for 37 years now, so I continue to do it every year when I make 1 to 2 batches of this. So before that gets to the boil, we want to prepare our pan. Now you could use whatever you want. It doesn't necessarily matter on thickness, on how big it is, whatever you want to do. As I've mentioned, I've used this exact cake pan here now for 37 years. So you want to grease it. I use a stick of butter. Now this one I'm going to do a little different than I did the one last week. And I'm only going to do each of the far sides on here, right? As you can see, there's a reason for that. And that's because I'm going to use some wax paper this time. But I want to make sure that I get it completely covered there. Probably should have used a different finger, I suppose. But just get it good and covered. That way it doesn't stick to that side because there won't be any wax paper there. So I've already pre-cut my piece of wax paper. So when I bring it over, it'll just lay in there. It was a little bit too big and I can't remember how I had it. But just get it smooth in there. And that's all it takes. So then when we go to cut it out later, we just got to cut down those 2 lengths of the side there. And then it should theoretically pop right out. Now the reason why I'm doing this is I want to take and freeze half of this batch. So this way it makes it easier to have it in one block, and then I could just pop it out, freeze it, vacuum pack it, and toss it back in the freezer. So once that's done, it's back over to the stove we go. But once we get to the point where we're starting to boil, this is where you really have to be careful. You want to make sure you're stirring it enough once it gets going, and you can see it starting to rise up a little bit there. So you want to get it stirred down. That's why I have that high-sided pot. This will scorch in a hurry if you're not careful. Try to keep your heat about medium high. I'm a little bit higher than that, honestly. Then again, I'm used to doing this. If you're used to cooking, especially the candy making, you do you. I mean, that's just the way it is. Take it, make it your own. This is just how I do it. So I make sure that I keep stirring it. Like I said, it's going to bubble, it's going to pop. I even had some jump up onto my finger. Yes, it will burn you. I got lucky this time, but I have had it happen in the past. So be careful while you're stirring it. Maybe should have had a little bit longer of a whisk there, but I'm all right. So how to make sure this turns out nice and soft and creamy. My mama taught me this back in 1987 when I made my first batch of peanut butter fudge. She taught me that you want to test it. So when you cook this, you want to time it for 8 minutes. I always start at 8 minutes. I don't care what any kind of recipe says. I do what my mama taught me, and that is I time it for 8 minutes for this double batch, and then we test it. And that's as simple as taking a little bit of a spoonful here and putting it into something. I've got a measuring cup here with cold water. Now I go off screen, and the reason I go off screen is because how I time it. My timing mechanism is I clean that spoon. When I'm done cleaning that spoon, I test it. As you can see, if you can move it around and create like that right there, typically I'd make it into a ball, but since I'm trying to video this and doing it with 2 hands, it wasn't as good. First time now, that was right after 8 minutes of cooking this, it turned into that globulous sugar mixture there, right? That's exactly what you want. If you don't get that, what you want to do is cook it a little longer and test it again until you get something like that. And once you do, as you can see, I've already put in my vanilla. Then next goes in the peanut butter chips. Get those stirred up really good. This will start to thicken up on you, partly because of those peanut butter chips, but partly because it's starting to cool down, right? Once you get those good and mixed up, in goes the marshmallow cream. You're going to want to get this done as quick as you possibly can because you want the heat from that mixture to melt and mix in all of that marshmallow cream. Otherwise, you're going to have splotches of marshmallow, which I guess maybe not going to be a bad thing. I just don't like it. I'd rather have it all mixed in really good. So get it in there and then get it stirred in. You're going to want something that you can stir really good with. Again, this whisk, Probably not the best of ideas. I don't know why I used my small one. It's an older one. It's definitely an older one. I should have went with a little bit bigger one. But that's perfectly fine. But as you can see, we're starting to get some of that mixed in. So you just want to keep stirring it in all the way. Make sure that you get those chunks there, for lack of a better term. You see them? Now I'm trying to get them smoothed out there so I can get it mixed in. Continue to mix it. You'll see the mixture gets lighter and lighter. Oh, and there goes my whisk. See, I told you I shouldn't have used this one. It's an old one, definitely. Just pop it back together and keep stirring. Just want to make sure we get all of that marshmallow cream mixed in really good. It doesn't take long, honestly. This one, if I would have had my other whisk, I don't know why I didn't. Who knows? But just use what you've got, obviously. Get it stirred in really good, and you'll see it'll look really smooth once you get it all mixed in. You'll not see any more of those marshmallow pieces, and then it's time to pour it up. So back over to our container here. As I said, I've used this same thing now for 37 straight years. I mean, yeah, I love using this old cake pan to make my fudge. So it's as simple as just getting it all out of the pot, right? Rubber scraper will always help better trying to get out of there, because that whisk can only pull so much out, and you're going to want to get it all out of there because that is liquid goodness. Sorry about the camera work here. I did have it overhead, obviously, and so it kind of blocks everything I'm trying to show you. But I mean, this is pretty straightforward. You just want to get it out of there and get as much as you can into your pan so it can cool down. And that's the next step. Of course, you want it to cool completely. If you don't get it out of your pot as quick as possible, it will start cooling down right inside there and start sticking, and it makes it quite hard. But as tradition has it, we get to a point and then we just give up, and then this is our tester fudge right here. So you just scrape as much as you can. Just keep scraping it down, whatever you got left here. Put it onto your spatula, and as you can see right there, I'll let that cool down, and then I'll taste it, and I'll know exactly how this is going to turn out. And then I typically let the whole thing sit overnight, let it completely cool before we start cutting into it. And watch this. So once it's completely cooled, it's time to get it out of the pan. Now, as I mentioned before, since I greased the top and bottom there as it sits, all I need to do is run a knife along it, both sides, loosen it up, and theoretically this should just come right out of there. So that's what I'm doing now, just making sure I've got that blade completely against the side of the pan. And then once we get that cut, the rest of it now is on that wax paper. So this should just come out really easy, theoretically. That sucker doesn't want to move, and oh, yep, there it ripped. I knew that was about to happen. It's not wanting to come out. So then I thought, well, maybe if I cut it in half, this would help, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just slice it right down the middle here, just wherever you want to cut it, whatever's middle. Didn't break out the tape measure. You could see it's two different halves, but no, that's still not wanting to come out. So I don't know. I don't want to rip that wax paper there. So I got the brilliant idea of flipping it over and giving it a whack a couple times, thinking maybe it would come out. Let's get my aggression out on this thing. Hopefully that would work. And nope, that didn't either. So it's back to just trying to pull it out, and now I can see it starting to move. So whatever I did when I had it upside down, it knocked it loose, and look at that. Look at it come out of there just like it should. A big old piece of peanut butter fudge. So let's set that aside, and we'll get this second piece out. This one should now really come loose because it's got plenty of room to move, and there it goes. Absolutely. Just like it should. Big, beautiful slab of peanut butter fudge. So by taking it out of the pan that way, it makes it so much easier to cut. If you watched last week's video on my fudge, the almost sugar-free fudge, I told you the story about all those grooves in that pan, how I would just take the knife and just go right down the middle of it, right? Well, this makes it so much easier to cut. Now from here, you can cut it however you want. I'm kind of curious to see how much this weighs, so I'm going to cut it into a couple smaller pieces, and then I'll break out that scale, right? So I don't know. I'm never any good at measuring weights like this, so let's just see how much it shows. And I'll put these first 2 pieces on here, and then I'm going to grab that second piece, the whole piece. We'll just put it on there. And to my surprise, it was just a scotch over 7 pounds. Just a scotch over 7 pounds, so that'll be good when it comes time to doing the nutrition on this in MyFitnessPal. We'll know exactly how much this makes. So it was like 7 pounds and an ounce, honestly. So to cut it, I should have used a little bit longer knife, but that's okay. This one's my favorite knife. So cut it however thick, however small you want. I like just little cubes, basically. Now when I cut it while it's still in the pan, there's really no way to get any kind of uniformity to it. This makes it so much easier because you can just cut a few rows and then cut it whatever size you want. It's basically like cubing up potatoes or whatever, right? Just cut it however size you want. See there, I made a little bit smaller, so then I can cut this one in half too. And there you go, some amazing pieces of peanut butter fudge. These are quite sweet, I mean very sweet, which I don't eat much sugar anymore ever since starting the GLP-1, right? So because of that, I don't need a whole lot when I have some. And I know I've said it before at other times, but I pretty much give this away every year. I don't want most of it in my house, but I know that it brings other people smiles and makes them happy. So I'll make those 2 double batches, which will be just a scotch over 14 pounds of fudge, and I'll give it away. Some of it goes to some people here in town. A bunch of it gets shipped back home to people back in Washington, where I used to live. It's a tradition. I'll make a run to the post office and I'll drop a few boxes in the mail. They pretty much know it's coming every year, but I don't ever tell them. So then when they get that package, hopefully it brings a smile to their face because I know they like it, and that's why I keep doing it every single year. And speaking of giving some away, tonight we're going to go look at some Christmas lights. So I found this cute little box here from Dollar Tree. I'm going to load it up and take it to my bestie's house. Her neighbor has an amazing Christmas light show. I'll try to get some video of that if I can and show you on an upcoming video. If not, maybe at the end of this one, we'll have to see. But I'm going to go over and we're going to check it out. And so I'll take her and her girls some peanut butter fudge. They love it. They've been eating it for years. So I'll pack it up in this little cute container here, and I'll give them what'll probably end up being about a third of one of those double batches, if not more than that, honestly. Probably pushing towards a half by the time I get this box completely loaded up. And there it is. I know it's not the healthiest, but you know, to each their own. It's good stuff, and it's a great way to share a little bit of the joy of the season. So I love making this stuff for other people. So then I'll take that last piece of this batch. It's about half of it, right? Not quite half. And I'm going to freeze it. Look at how easy that wax paper just pulls right off of there. It's like pulling the plastic off of like a brand new TV or something, right? You know what I'm talking about? I love doing that. It's the same thing, pulling that off the back of the fudge. And then this last piece I'm going to cut in half, and I'm going to freeze. Yeah, just freeze it in one complete slab. Once it's good and frozen, then I'll take it and vacuum pack it and put it back into the freezer so it's ready to go for half Christmas. This year, I'm going to do 2 pieces of it. Last year I only did 1, so half of what you saw there. This year I'll do 2. So yeah, as I mentioned in that video, I literally use that same pan. I've used it for 37 years now, and there almost isn't a bigger Christmas tradition to me right now than busting out that pan to make fudge with, because I know that when it's out, people are going to be smiling, they're going to be loving it. So again, I've made a bunch of it. Let me show you right here what it is. And what I really like about this version is it is much softer. Now, you remember last week when I tried squeezing it? I don't know how well that'll show. Let's see. But look at how that just, oh man, see how that, oh, I'm dropping it. That's been good. That's literally only my 3rd piece of this batch since I made it. That is so good. It is so, oh man. It literally just melts in your mouth, and that peanut butter is just so fantastic. You've got to try making this if you like peanut butter fudge. Now I know this isn't the healthiest at all. So let's go through the numbers here. I weighed out the 3 pieces that make up, come on, This one. I've got them marked, that's how I know. So let me show you, I'll put it on here. These 4 little guys right here represent 1 ounce, right? Can you see that good, I hope? Maybe, right here. 4 little pieces represent 1 ounce. And 1 ounce is, let me grab my phone. It's 119 calories per ounce. It's got 46.8 milligrams of sodium. It's got 17.9 grams of sugar. Now again, compared to the almost sugar-free version that had less than 3, that is almost 6 times more sugar, right? So from 3 to almost 18, basically 6 times more sugar in it. That's crazy. 1.7 grams of protein. So yeah, there is some protein in here. 1.7 grams per ounce. And then the potassium came in just under 11 milligrams per serving, so at 11.6 milligrams total there. Let me put up side by side here the numbers for the almost sugar-free peanut butter fudge, as well as Ken's famous, the classic version. As you can see, it is quite a difference, honestly. I mean, it all depends upon where you are on your journey, or if you're making it for other people. Like I said, I make this and give it away. You saw in that video, I packaged up that box full of it and I delivered it last night. I took it over to my bestie for her and her family to enjoy. I do it every year. You know, it's my Christmas gift to a lot of people, I guess. You know, it's a way to spread a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of merriment this time of year. And for that, I'm gonna just keep making it as much as I can, because I know the smiles that it brings. You should have heard the people trying it last night, especially a couple people tried it for the first time last night. Just absolutely flipped out over it. So that makes me smile because they smile. I don't know. I just don't think you can go wrong with that. And to tell you the truth, I'm kind of in talks with a local coffee shop about possibly selling it at their place. So we'll see how that turns out. Let me show you this right here. We're almost done here, but I love how you can smooth it down. It's so smooth, right? And then you can just take it, wrap it into a ball and just take that and just pop it in your mouth and just let it just sit there and God. I've actually made balls like this, a little bit bigger, about this size, and I've dipped it in chocolate and then with a little bit of flaky salt on top of it. Oh man, that stuff is evil. Did not make any of those this year because I don't need that stuff hanging around. This is enough. Again, this is about all we got left, and that's way too much for me right now. The numbers are good. They're not horrible, especially if you eat just a little bit of it. But speaking of numbers, let's jump into that. So I'm going to be honest, when it came to food, this week was a bit of a struggle. If you watched my last video, the one where I talked about switching over to compound Tirzepatide, that was actually recorded 2 weeks ago. So I took that shot and then I took one this last week. Yeah, I didn't have to take one this week because the appetite suppression is just too damn strong. So back-to-back weeks at 12.5, my body definitely was not ready for that. You can definitely tell. So I was hoping that maybe it would help me out going forward. I don't know, but I'll tell you, there were days that I had to literally force myself to have anything to eat, and that's not good either. So I tried eating higher calorie stuff, you know, like my beans and rice, stuff like that, to where a cup and a half, 2 cups is like, you know, 550, 600 calories, right? And a bunch of fiber and a bunch of protein. But it was so filling that I just didn't really want to eat a whole lot of anything else. And I don't like that either. I want to try to find that balance, you know, between eating too much and not eating enough, somewhere that sweet spot right in the middle. And taking back-to-back shots, man, that didn't work out too well for me. So I don't know if the compound Tirzepatide is going to actually work good, because my understanding is that when it comes to those best used by dates, or whatever it's called, the BUD, that you are not supposed to take it past that. And so I've got a vial that says it's good until January 13th. I haven't even opened it yet. So if I'm supposed to have 4 weeks off of that, that'll actually be the 15th of January if I take one every single week starting this next week. And I just don't know about that. So if you have any clue, if you've been on compound and you understand that stuff better than I do, because I don't at all, please drop a comment down below and explain that to me. Let me know how you're doing it, if you're taking it weekly or if you're taking it every so often, and how that's been working for you. Because I can't imagine me taking another shot. If I'd have taken a shot this past Wednesday, I can't imagine what I'd be feeling like right now, because currently I got that brick right there in my stomach. I did get up this morning. I had something to eat early, but it's now like, what is it currently? You know, it's going on 6 o'clock at night. I haven't ate again, except for that little piece of fudge, right? And so I don't know. So it was a struggle. It was definitely a struggle this week, and my numbers absolutely show that. So as we could see here, I only averaged 1,218 calories a day. You know, in most cases, I like to say anything from 1,200 to 1,300 I'm okay with, even a little over 1,300 like I've been. I'm not too worried about it. But this seemed a little bit low to me, especially when you take a look at the rest of my numbers. So the rest of my numbers here show that I only managed 71 grams of protein per day on average. Again, target of 90. I don't know. Right now, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I'm tired, but I'm always tired because I'm constantly going, you know, between work and then doing these videos and doing other things, going to games, going to concerts, going to whatever, right? I'm constantly doing something. The other night, I had my first day off. I actually had 3 days off this past week. I took an extra day and then my 2. And that first day I was busy doing stuff around the house. I edited that compound Tirzepatide video and then I got bored. So I took off. I went shopping. I went and picked up our dog Piper's insulin and I went to Costco and I walked around Costco for quite a while. And of course, it wasn't lost on me that it wasn't that long ago, just a couple years ago, that I hadn't been inside of a Costco in years. And now I go a few times a month, right? And that day I just went to walk around and grab a couple things because I just didn't want to be here at the house. I had that energy and I just wanted to get out and go do something. So, I mean, I'm feeling good, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I mean, am I supposed to be eating more? Am I supposed to be eating less? Just depends upon who you ask. I mean, I read things that say I really don't need any more than about 65 grams of protein a day. And then, of course, you'll have those others that are like 130, right? Those kind of things. And I don't know. So I'm going to pretty much leave it up to my body. And my body's pretty much telling me right now, I'm okay. So we'll just listen to it, I guess. But I still worry a little bit because obviously I want to be on the right path to health, not just weight loss, but health. So, you know, we'll see. My fiber came in low. Yeah, I mean, if I'm not eating the right things, of course it's going to be low. Now, I've said it many times, anything 35 and above I'm okay with, but I would still like to be above 40, pushing that 50 mark. So 37 to me, while still okay, seems a little bit low. My sodium came in at 875 milligrams a day. Now this one's a tough one. I think I mentioned, was it last week, the week before, that I'm going to try to up that to try to get into that 1,000 to 1,200 milligram range. It is so weird for me to have to add salt to my food just to be able to get that. And quite often I am adding at least a quarter teaspoon of low sodium pink Himalayan sea salt to my beans, right? Sometimes I add it to my yogurt. I haven't made yogurt in a while. Maybe I should do that. But I'm sometimes adding it to just whatever, just to make sure that I'm getting enough. And so I track that too. But evidently, I'm not putting enough in there. Now, I don't eat much processed food. And that's why I'm not getting a lot of the salt that comes along with those things. You know, there was a couple times this week that I had a tortilla. Those are pretty high in sodium for me. So when I do have, you know, like my tofu breakfast burritos, and I think I'll have a video coming up with that maybe next week or the week after to show you how I make those. Those are a little bit higher in sodium, so it gives me a decent boost each day. Then I don't have to add as much. But I just don't eat a whole lot of processed food, and so that's why. So it's just still weird for me to be told all of my life, stay away from salt. And now it's like, oh, you need to be eating more salt. So it's kind of strange. So it's going to take me a little bit, but eventually I'll get that up too. And then my potassium came in at 7,303 milligrams per day. Yeah, absolutely fantastic to me. Again, targeting 6,000. So anything above that is awesome. So with that said, what did that do for me on the scale? Well, you know, it was a weird week, and maybe what I need to do starting the first of the year is just stop weighing during the week. I'm one of those that have always been a numbers geek. I love to track all things that I possibly can just to see how different things, maybe different foods or different things that I do make my body react. But each of the last 2 weeks, I've noticed from my official weigh-in day, which is on Friday, to like Monday or Tuesday, I've gone up a few pounds. This week was no different. I went up, I think, 5 by Monday, maybe Tuesday. I can't remember what day it was. But then it started coming down. And for the second straight week, I lost 3 pounds. 3 pounds. 2 weeks in a row now. So that's 6 pounds in the last 2 weeks, 7 pounds in the last 3, which puts me at a total weight loss of 247 pounds, which of course means 217 on the pen with the shot, right? And so, yeah, I mean, wow, I don't know. I'm shocked. I haven't had back-to-back weeks like this, and I don't know how long. I guess I could go back because I've got the videos, right? And see just how long it's been, but I really don't remember how long it is. Now, could it be because I took shots in back-to-back weeks? I guess we'll find out next week, though. Next week is probably going to be skewed a little bit, to be honest with you. I mean, it's Christmas week, right? And it's also prison week for me. So I got to go work in the building, though because of the holiday, I only got to be there 4 days instead of 5. So that works for me. That's an amazing Christmas present. So yeah, I mean, I'm ecstatic about 3 freaking pounds 2 weeks in a row. I don't know that I could ask for more. I mean, honestly, if I could lose 2 to 3 every single week, I'd be dang skippy about that. Now, here's the things that run through my mind because I'm a wackadoo when it comes to stuff like that. And that is, was it the 2 shots back-to-back weeks that helped me do that? Is it the fact that I haven't been getting up on my treadmill? 0 workout time at all. I'm not lifting weights. I'm not walking on the treadmill. I have been walking a lot, like going to games or walking around Costco, doing stuff like that, but I haven't been exercising properly, right? So could all of that be the reason why? So if I change things, so not taking a shot this week or after the first of the year when I do start working out again, is that going to change things? Is that going to make it harder for me to lose weight? I don't know. I have absolutely no clue. But those are things that I definitely think about because, as I said, I'm a bit of a wackadoo when it comes to that because I know, and I've said it recently, if not in the last video or the week before, that I would love to be sitting here telling you that I'm down 347 pounds instead of just 247. And somebody called me on that. Joellen, that was you, just 247? Yeah, well, you know what I mean. It's one of those things that, as great as it is, could it have been better? Could it have been better? Well, I don't know. Joellen knows me from way back. We used to work together back in Lacey at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service. So I've known her for a long time. She has seen my struggle firsthand. So she knows just how amazing this has been for me. All right, guys, I'm going to close this here. I am going to show you some video and some photos here of the Christmas lights that we did go enjoy. So hopefully it brings a little bit of smile to your face. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be able to use the music from the ones that are set in motion there, the computerized lights. It'll all depend upon if YouTube wants to get me a copyright strike or not, and I'm not going to take that. So I may have to talk over a little bit of it or play it without music. The lights are still really cool either way. So check that out. So I've told you about some of my favorite Christmas traditions, via that making the peanut butter fudge for everybody to enjoy, or going out and looking at Christmas lights, or when we used to do our own lights. And of course, we've talked about it in the past, watching 24 hours of A Christmas Story. Now I ain't gonna watch all 24 hours, but it'll be on it. And of course, It's a Wonderful Life. Do you have any Christmas traditions that you're looking forward to? I mean, tomorrow's Christmas Eve, right? So what's up on the agenda for you? Let me know down below so we can all celebrate with you. I hope every one of you that celebrates has an amazing Merry Christmas. Thanks for coming by and watching this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen. On Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen.
Okay.
Yeah, the best looking house in town.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I think you might be overdoing it, Dad.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow me on my journey to become a fat guy no more, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that bell so you can get notifications every time I upload a new video.